So something came in the mail today. I'm not sure if I should call it exciting, but it is this behemoth of a book. Look at this. I'm not sure if you can figure out just how big this is, but in comparison, here's Twilight, or Bella's point of view, yes? Look at that. What in the world? Why is Edward's point of view of Twilight more than double the size of Twilight? So if you couldn't already figure this out, unfortunately, I am going to read Midnight Sun. I just got it in the mail. Look, this is much bigger than my face. Why? If you need some context, please go back and watch my reading vlog and review of Twilight, which is Bella's point of view. This, that just released August 6th or something like that, is Edward's point of view of Twilight, and Stephenie Meyer is the only person in the world that can get away with publishing the same book at least 3 times. There was Twilight, there was the 10th anniversary edition of Twilight, which had the gender-swapped Twilight, so it wasn't Edward's point of view, it was Bella, but if Bella was a man and Edward was a woman. And now, even sometime later, again, she released Edward's point of view, called Midnight Sun. Also, this cover is very shiny and very strange. Why does a pomegranate look so scary? I am genuinely really intimidated. If you remember, it took me 8 months to read the original Twilight, which is, you know, a lot smaller than this. Granted, the formatting is different, the text is bigger, and the format itself, the size of the book is bigger. Nevertheless, I am scared. I am very, very scared. But here we go, wish me luck. I really hope this is a better version of Twilight. So here we go, I have my trusty bookmark with some sticky tabs, because if you remember, I tabbed Twilight a lot. So, I'm gonna start reading the first page now. Okay, so already the first page of Midnight Sun is better than the first page of Twilight, I have to say. I'll compare the first sentence, just, I don't know, it might be interesting. And just so you can see, the first chapter of Twilight is called First Sight, and the first chapter of Midnight Sun is also called First Sight. I see what you did there. See what you did there, Stephenie Meyer. So the first paragraph of Twilight, I've already read this in my previous reading vlog, but just as a comparison to Midnight Sun. My mother drove me to the airport with the windows rolled down. It was 75 degrees in Phoenix, the sky a perfect cloudless blue. I was wearing my favorite shirt, sleeveless white eyelet lace. I was wearing it as a farewell gesture. My carry-on item was a parka. First paragraph of Twilight, not very interesting. She's talking about her clothes and the weather. The first paragraph of Midnight Sun, so Edward's point of view, although I'll read a bit more because it's formatted differently. This was the time of day when I most wished I were able to sleep. High school. Or was purgatory the right word? If there were any way to atone for my sins, this ought to count toward the tally in some measure. The tedium was not something I grew used to. Every day seemed more impossibly monotonous than the last. Now, already, although this point of view is already kind of dramatic, already this is much better, because we can already tell Edward's voice, we can already tell something about his personality, and, more than anything, this is relatable. I'm sure every high school student, or any student in general, has felt this way before. And so already this is more engaging than the first paragraph of Twilight. Yes, that is interesting. Although not surprising. And just so I can have it stated, my prediction is that Midnight Sun, aka Edward's point of view, will be a better book than Twilight. There's so many factors that go into this. To me, Edward was a much more interesting character. Stephenie Meyer as a writer has hopefully improved in the last 20 years or so since she first wrote Twilight. So already a lot of my previous complaints will have been fixed just because so much time has passed, and hopefully she has a lot more experience as a writer. And already from this first page, I can already tell her writing style has definitely improved. Yeah, we'll see if that continues. So far, I have high hopes that this is a much better version of Twilight. Okay, so from the start, it's already very different because Edward can hear pretty much everyone else's thoughts. And so there's all of the thoughts of everyone at school floating through his head, and he's trying to like block people out. But the overwhelming thing that the students are thinking about is, of course, Bella, and a lot of them are already obsessing over her, which I suppose is not, I mean, she's the new girl, this is a small town, I guess, you know, they're just excited to have a new fresh face in there, so I'll let that slide. But again, through Edward's thoughts we can see sort of the jealousies of the girls and also how some of the boys are already obsessed with her. And the interesting thing now is that Edward realizes that he cannot hear Bella's thoughts. He can hear everyone else's except Bella's. So I finished the first chapter, and yeah, I mean, Edward is already a much more interesting character, but it's quite funny because a lot of this chapter was focused on the first time that they sit next to each other in biology class, and just thinking back on Bella's perspective where she was like, you know, this guy hates me, why does he hate me, he doesn't even know me, while Edward literally spends about 10 pages inside his head trying to convince himself not to make a scene and kill Bella on the spot. But it's funny because he thinks so much, like I said, there was about 10 pages of this one biology class, and I feel like the writing is a bit repetitive. I know more about why this book is so big, because I feel like a lot could have already been cut out in this first chapter without losing the meaning. I just feel like we're inside Edward's head, and yes, he thinks a lot, but we don't need to see every little thing he thinks, and a lot of it was just repetitive. He was literally trying not to kill Bella and thinking of all of the ways he could stop himself, or imagining all of the ways in which he could kill Bella and what the consequences of that would be in the moment. All of that could have been cut down to a much shorter narrative. I feel like there wasn't a lot of editing done to this book to cut down on unnecessary things. We'll see, maybe that's just the first chapter, but judging by the size of this book, I feel like that is going to be a problem throughout the book. And that is something when you get as famous as Stephanie Meyer, editors tend to leave you alone and publishers kind of just want to push the book out. So even if, you know, for a debut author or for a newer, more unknown author, they would do a heck of a lot more editing to edit you down. For authors such as her, they're kind of like, yep, it's done, print. Obviously that's not really how it goes. They do edit, but they're a lot more forgiving of things, and that's why we end up with this sort of situation. So I'm about halfway through the book now, and I have a lot of thoughts. Where do I even begin? First of all, I marked this down. Wish he'd stayed wherever he went, Mike thought, eyeing me sulfuriously. I can't even say that. Sulfuriously. That is a very strange adverb. Honestly, I've never seen that before. Sulfuriously. Sulfurously? I don't even know how to pronounce it. That's how weird it is. So far, developments have been that Edward and Bella have fallen in love with each other, and Edward is absolutely obsessed with her. And of course, Alice, she sees the future. She has visions, and she tells Edward that it all depends on whether he is strong enough. Either he'll kill her himself, or she'll be one of us someday. So that's Alice's vision, and then Edward decides that he will stay and face this problem that he has, and then yeah, he starts befriending Bella. And this is a thing that irritated me when he was describing Bella, and of course Bella is gorgeous and beautiful, and like, fair enough, but he says, Bella never wore makeup, nor should she. The cosmetic industry made billions of dollars a year from women who are trying to attain skin like hers. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, dude, don't shame women for wearing makeup. Like, if they want to wear makeup, let them wear makeup. I didn't particularly like that. But yeah, he goes on and on about how beautiful she is. And so in that sense, they're both similar, because Bella went on and on and on about how beautiful Edward is, but Edward does the same, so whatever. So I'm more than halfway through now. I think I'm at page 520, and I have a lot of tabs, as you can see. So Edward thinks a lot, and because he can hear everyone else's thoughts, we have a lot of everyone else's thoughts, and surprisingly, a lot of people's thoughts are very dull. We get a lot of gossip from the girls in high school. We get a lot of jealousy from the guys. Of every female that Edward comes across is instantly infatuated with him. And because he can hear their thoughts, their thoughts are very, well, they're all the same, basically. He's really hot, and they're like incapacitated as they lay eyes upon him. Like all the waitresses and the school nurse and everyone like that just is like, oh my, whenever they see Edward, which is pretty funny, but it's becoming a bit dull now because every single female that he comes across thinks that way, and it's kind of like, come on. I understand being universally appealing, but really every single female is flustered at the sight of you. Funnily enough, because we see Bella from Edward's point of view, I'm not gonna say she's a more interesting character, I'll just say that I understand why Edward fancies her. Because of the way he sees her, Bella seems a more interesting character than, you know, in Twilight, where from her perspective, you know, I could just die of boredom. He is obsessed with her, and yeah, he started at some point just going to her room and watching her sleep every night, and you know, that is very, very creepy, but I do like the fact that he is very self-aware of this. He actually mentions it himself, that he knows it is very creepy, and then when he tells Bella, or when Bella finally finds out that he's been doing this, inside his head, Edward is like, she's now going to run away from me, she now will think I am the creep I know I am. But of course, she doesn't think that. I don't know why, it is freaking creepy. We also definitely get a lot more backstory on each of the other Cullens. A lot of their backstory is actually pretty interesting, I have to say. Especially Carlisle, who is like 300 and something years old, and Alice, who has these sightings, is also an interesting character. Rosalie, who, from Bella's point of view, you know, she thought Rosalie hated her, but now because we know her backstory better, and from Edward's point of view, we can see why. Because Rosalie really wants to be human. She was turned, and she's jealous of Bella. She's jealous that Bella is a human, which is what she still wants to be. And she continues to caution Edward because she knows that Bella will definitely want to be turned eventually, because she won't be able to live with the idea of not being with Edward forever, of her being mortal, and so she'll want to become immortal, because that's what she did, Rosalie. That's what happened to her, and so she doesn't want the same thing happening to Bella, and Edward is like, no, that's never going to happen. She will get bored of me way before then. Anyway, I also really like this quote. Edward says, "It's Twilight, the time when vampires came out to play, when we never had to fear that a shifting cloud might cause us trouble, when we could enjoy the last remnants of light in the sky without worrying that we would be exposed." So obviously that is the title of the series, but I do really like it. There's some passages in here that are actually quite nicely written, I have to say. Definitely evident that Stephanie Meyer has become better at writing, although she still kind of falls under a lot of the same crutches. She uses a lot of crutch words. The writing is still pretty ordinary and predictable. Also, another thing I find interesting, but also a bit unbelievable, is the fact that Edward has been a vampire for 100 and so years, and Bella is his first ever love. We stare at each other for a moment while I process the fact that just as she was my first love, according to this, I was also her first infatuation at the very least. He keeps saying that Bella is the first person he's ever fallen in love with, and also he fell in love with her pretty darn quickly, so that kind of makes me question, okay, really, Bella is the first person you've ever liked, especially that fast? Okay. There must be really something special about this Bella person. Another thing I really enjoy is because they have to move every few years to a new place, because obviously they don't age, and so every single time they kind of reinvent their lives. The Cullens, Edward and Emmett and Rosalie, who are together, they have to fall in love and get married every single time in each one of these new places, which I thought was very funny. There's a place where Edward says, "I suppose we'll have to go to their wedding in a few years again." I just thought that was funny. They keep having this wedding over and over again. Oh yeah, and this is really cringe. Edward is trying to describe Bella, and he says, "With her wet hair looping in long seaweed tangles around her shoulders and her face glowing in the moonlight, she looked more than good. The English language needed a word that meant something halfway between a goddess and a naiad." What? Also, come on, Edward, that is so cheesy. I swear, Edward is really, really cheesy. Oh, and this is really awkward. When she met Edward's family for the first time and Edward played her the song that she inspired on the piano, she started crying at some point. And I just thought this was really awkward. She started crying and Edward, like, took her tear in his finger, and then I swallowed Bella's tear. Perhaps it would never leave my body. A, gross. Also, what the frick? What the frick? Seriously. Anyway, I still have about 200 or so pages to go. I think I can finish this in the next week or so. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I did Twilight, that's for sure. But, you know, it's also not like my favorite thing in the world, and I'm not super excited to continue reading it every single day, but it's definitely easier to get through than Twilight was. That is for bloody sure, especially considering the size of this. So, I finished it. It took me this long, I'll put it right here because Goodreads knows I don't remember at this point. I'll gather my thoughts and I'll make a wrap-up kind of review, but just to quickly discuss a couple things at the end that irked me. At the end of the book, when Bella gets kidnapped by the James vampire guy, or goes to save her mother when she's not actually saving her mother, there is, again, maybe like a 10-page car chase scene. A very detailed car chase scene of Edward and the rest of the Cullens on their way to save Bella. There's a very intense car scene where they name all of the car brands ever. And apparently they find all of these presumably fancy cars. I don't know. There's a Ford Mustang, a Nissan 350Z. They find all of these cars in this small town. And why? This felt a little out of place, honestly, because Alice is seeing Bella bleeding on the ground, getting killed by this James guy, right? Isn't the point to get to Bella as fast as possible? And they're like jumping from all of these cars, one to the next. They're like seeing another car, they're taking that, and then I didn't really see the purpose of this car scene. Or again, why is it 10 pages long? It could be 2 pages, you know, or 5. Just cut it in half. Could have been much shorter and conveyed the same thing. And also, how did they find all of these fancy cars in this town? I don't know. And another very disappointing thing is, remember how in my previous vlog of Twilight I said that I really wanted to see an epic vampire fight between Edward and James, Bella's kidnapper? Yeah, that didn't happen. That was not a thing at all. They basically burst into this warehouse or wherever this was happening, and then Edward just went to Bella's aid, and then one of the other Cullens, I already forgot who, jumped this James guy, and they didn't even fight. He just killed him like that. There was nothing. There was barely a sentence. So this seemingly powerful vampire didn't even get a fight scene to the death. I'm sorry, but that's just disappointing to me. But that can be said of this entire story, really. So why am I actually surprised? You know what? I don't know. I don't know. Hi. So this is the part of the video where I make a mini review wrap-up / end of my thoughts on Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer, aka Edward's very, 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 very long thoughts. Excuse me a second while I fuel myself for this. Okay, so like I said, I set myself up for this reading Midnight Sun. I came up with the idea of rereading Twilight and making a reading vlog from it last summer. I started reading it last August, and as you know, I finished it and made that video, or posted that video, I think sometime in March. And I kid you not, a few days after I posted that video, or before I was gonna publish it, because I usually upload my videos and then set them to publish, they announced that Stephenie Meyer was coming out with Midnight Sun, aka Edward's point of view, and I was like, oh no. Oh no, 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 because that means I have to read it. Okay, I don't have to read it. I wanted to read it and make this video. I thought it would be fun, and well, boy was I wrong. Now, all jokes aside, I really enjoy making these videos, so even if I just read it to make a video like this, you know what? There's no right or wrong reason to read a book, and even though I didn't enjoy it so much, I enjoy making these videos for you guys, so there's something good that came out of this. So, thoughts on Edward's point of view. Needs editing. It needed an editor. Oh gosh, it needed an editor. While Edward is definitely a much more interesting character than Bella, boy is he self-loathing. Seriously, there's just pages and pages. To be fair, he's very anxious, so that's one thing. He's very, very anxious, and because we're in his head, it's just so much. It's so much of this. It really got me down, honestly, and I'm a very anxious person who sometimes has moments of self-loathing, but I don't necessarily want to read so much of that in a book. Like, it could have been cut down because we get it. It was just a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of useless conversations between Bella and Edward, and I honestly can't remember if there were the exact same conversations in Twilight, but again, this felt like it went on forever. Edward was interrogating Bella of her likes and dislikes, and you know, just the most mundane things, and this went on for at least 10 pages. I do not care what ice cream flavor Bella prefers. Like, if that was just the one thing that characterizes her personality, fine. But this went on and on for pages and pages, and I don't care. I don't care. And their relationship, even though from Edward's eyes, you know, it was pretty much more or less the same thing, except again the self-loathing and the anxiety, but it seemed more codependent and toxic from his point of view, because we know what he's thinking, and this guy, like, he is pretty manipulative, and just the way he latches on to Bella. And again, apparently this is his first love, right? And he's totally obsessed with her, but he watches her sleep every night, which he realizes is creepy. Just all the conversations where he was telling Bella, I'm dangerous, you shouldn't do this. He knows this, but he doesn't do anything to stop it. He doesn't do anything to change his behavior. He's manipulative and toxic and creepy. He is aware of this fact, but he does not do anything to change it. Yeah, there was one scene where at the end, he was taking Bella to prom, and without her knowing at first, and so when she realizes it, she freaks out, and Edward locks the doors to his car so Bella won't get out. Right, so he locks the doors on her because she's panicking now, and he says, "Don't be difficult, Bella." He realizes that this is dumb. He says, so I said probably the stupidest thing possible under the circumstances. Don't be difficult, Bella. So he realizes this is the wrong thing to say, and yet says it. Creepy, manipulative, toxic relationship, none of that changed. So yeah, nothing changed much about the story. I still don't like this story at all. Like, I really, really don't like the story. It's the same plot, and so I still don't like it. And my biggest complaint, as I said, is that it is very, very overwritten and way too long for what it is. It needed an editor. It could have been cut down to at least half of the size that it is, and at least it would have taken less time and effort to go through the same exact story again. And so I gave this 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but I think it's mainly like a 1.5 because I did enjoy it more than I did Twilight. I got through this beast obviously much faster, and there was some things that I did enjoy, such as the Cullens history and finding out about all of these characters, but as I said, it didn't really change my overall feelings about the story as a whole, about the series as a whole. I do not like these 2 characters. Their relationship is problematic, and I don't think that this is the kind of story that should be marketed towards young people. So is it a better version of Twilight? No, maybe. No, Twilight is a better version of Twilight. We should move on from this. I think she should have moved on and written other things, because she has the potential and the talent to write something else. So please, Stephenie Meyer, write something else. Just move on from this, because it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
It's time to stop! No more!
And so if I could summarize my review of Midnight Sun in one sentence, it would be still yikes, but now twice as long. Okay, I think that was everything I had to say. And here's the thing, like I said, I don't read a lot of romance, and actually I want to change that. I have an idea to buy and read a couple of historical romance books to see if maybe it's just the genre. Maybe this is just the genre, and all of the romance books that are popular are of these sort of toxic, manipulative relationships. In which case, well, I think society needs some kind of help, but if that's the case, then it's not just Twilight. I'm gonna try some historical romance books. I've already picked out some that looked popular, at least, and I'll do a reading vlog of those, so definitely look out for that, because I will definitely be interested to see what I think about these books, because that's definitely a genre I've never touched before, so it will be interesting and fun, hopefully fun, hopefully not frustrating. But anyway, that is it for today, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this video and my reading vlogs in general, and do let me know if there are any books you would like me to do reading vlogs of. I have a couple of books that I want to do video vlogs of myself that I already thought of, but if you guys really would request anything, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll definitely do one of these sort of long reading vlogs and review at the end, because I think I really enjoy watching them. And I know you guys really enjoyed the last one that I did for Twilight, and so I hope you also enjoyed this, and I hope you will enjoy some more in the future for me, because I really love filming these for you guys. It's a lot of fun. It's sometimes more fun than reading the actual book, which, you know, is a thing. Anyway guys, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!